Hi, I'm DeLynda, your director for Scentsy, DeLynda and the Scentsations. And this is week 3 of your training. This one, not real fun to talk about. It's taxes. But having an independent Scentsy business has really helped Van and I on our taxes. And I want to show you what I do and tell you what I do now. Everybody has their own system and can do it their own way. But I'm going to give you some tips and some things that I do. And it has gotten us money back every single year since we started. Now, some of you know that when Van and I first started, we had to use our IRAs previously in a few years prior to stay afloat, and we owed the IRS about $30,000. I started Scentsy in 2010. We were making huge payments to the IRS, had been for several years, and in 2012 we paid the IRS off and got some money back for the first time. So it has been very, very beneficial for us to have Scentsy as write-offs, and you can make money back by owning your own business if you know what to do. Now, it's tax season, and you're going to have some questions about what you need to do. If you have made more than $600 with Scentsy this year, you're going to get a 1099 form. They haven't notified us yet. They're usually on the accounts tab, and you go to it and print it off when they tell you they're ready. So those should be coming soon. So you'll be looking for those. And now, we always had done our taxes before ourselves. Once we started the Scentsy business, Van said, I really don't know exactly how to do this. So we actually went to an accountant, a tax preparer, and I'll tell you, if you're local, he's been fantastic for us. His name's Richard Gardner with Gardner Tax Services. I don't get anything, no plug. I'm not giving a plug. He's just really, really good, and he does a lot of the Scentsy consultants' taxes, and he knows what it's all about. So, but some of you do your own. You know how to do it. So therefore, this is just giving you suggestions of what I've done and how it's helped me. Now, first thing we're going to talk about is mileage. How to keep your mileage. There's so many different ways. Some people actually write down, have a little piece of paper or put it on their phone when they take off driving down the road and to go make deliveries, bank deposits, whatever, and then they take it at the end. I could never do that. I would be halfway through a trip and think, oh, I forgot to write it down. So I never could keep up with that. So, but if you can and you know what you're doing, perfect, whatever works for you. Now, I'm just going to give you how I do mine. Mine's simple to me, may not be to you, but I joined this free website called idonethis.com. idonethis.com. Now, what that is, it's a free website, and they will message you or email you once a day, and you get to set the time that you want them to email you. I have mine set for 9 o'clock at night. They email me, and they say, what did you do today? All you do is you hit reply, type in, oh, I went to a team meeting, I went to make a bank deposit, blah, 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 and then send. So then I can go to that website. I do my expenses and my mileage at the end of the month. And I go to my idonethis.com, and I click on for that month, and I go through the days that's highlighted, and it'll say, oh, on January 1st, you went here. And so then it just has everything where I went. And this is how I keep my mileage. Then, once a month, I sit down and do some paperwork. Now, this is a spreadsheet, and I'm sure you can't see it because I've really got it kind of small. But I made a spreadsheet. You can do it by paper if you don't have Excel or whatever. But you might want to write down the top columns. The date, from, to, mileage, and reason. And this, I based this off of our mileage forms that we use at the county office. So I think it's always been accepted by Richard, so I think we're fine here. So what I do is I go to my idonethis.com, say I'm pulling up January 1st, 2015. Like I said, I try to do them once a month, just sit down and do all my monthly mileage and expense. So I would put things like on date 1/20/2015, from, and I always put my home address 2101. I put from, and where did I go? I went to 4907 East blah blah blah. And then on the mileage, I put the mileage. And then and I'll tell you how the sneaky way I do that too. And then the reason, it could be, here's some of the reasons you might count mileage. You went to a consultant meeting, to pick up something, to make a delivery. Deliveries are going to be on here quite a bit, but that's not the only thing you get to count. If you've gone to meet a potential recruit, if you've gone to make a bank deposit, if you went to pick up orders after you'd made a delivery, you're going to have delivery of your basket party, you're going to have pick up the basket party, and you're going to go deliver the order. That's 3 right there for one basket party a lot of times. If you go to the post office to mail anything, I do a lot of mail outs. I count that mileage. Let's see some other things. All meetings, all trainings. And see, my mileage this year is almost 7,000 miles. And the reason is we drove to Las Vegas. We, let's see, and I can't remember some of the other, but just it adds up quickly. And you get to count all that. And whenever you're doing your thinking of things like, can I count this or not? Ask yourself this one question. Would I be doing this if I was not in Scentsy? If you answer no, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for Scentsy, then it's an expense that you wouldn't have had, and claim it. Whether it's going for a meal on expense at a team meeting, or you've bought food for a launch party, it doesn't matter. All those are expenses you would not have had if you were not an independent Scentsy consultant. So that's a good way to remember. Okay, so now I have my date, my from, my to, my mileage, and my reason that I went. Okay, what I was saying is, say I had on my idonethis.com that I went to Abby's house to deliver, but I didn't have her address. So when I'm doing my spreadsheet, I'm just going to put Abby's house. And then later on, just to get through with my thing, then I'm going to leave the mileage blank because I don't know what it is. So then later on, I'm going to look up Abby's address. I'm going to replace it with the real address and say, I didn't count the miles, so I really don't know how far it was. Well, I know I started at my house, I went to Abby's, and now it's going to be blank on mileage. Well, I go to a mileage calculator on Facebook. On Google, just mileage calculator, put in my address, put in Abby's address, and it tells me how many miles it is. Then I can put it in for real. So there's kind of a few steps, but let me tell you, this is one page of 11 pages of my mileage. And this is what I do. I'm going to put the date that I went, and I'm going to put from, and it's always going to be my house, or if you've gone to a second location, put it. And then you're going to put the address of where you went, and then you're going to put the mileage amount, then you're going to put the reason, and you're just going to do it for one way. The second line is going to have the same date, but from Abby's house. Then back to home. I always just put home because home's always the same. And then the mileage is going to be the very same. If you don't go anywhere else, it's the very same. And then the reason, return. So 2 lines for each place you go. So you're going to do it to, and then you're going to do it from. So I don't know if you can see this at all, but you'll notice that I have, like right here, like took orders, and the next line returned. So that's how I do my mileage. And you need to keep up with this because you get paid, I think it's like 55 or 58 cents a mile that you get back on your taxes. So right now, if I've gone 7,000 miles, then that's like $3,400 back on my taxes that I'm going to get for mileage. All right, now the next thing is your expenses. And the way I do my expenses is I have an online banking system. So, I mean, I will put it in my idonethis.com if I remember, but a lot of ways that I remember is to go to my bank statement. And I look and see everything that I spent money on, and it tells me, so I can look from, like I just got through with my December, so I can look through December 1st through December 31st in 2015, look at my bank lines and see, oh, I bought that shirt. I forgot about that. Oh, I bought this through PayPal. I bought those sample testers. There's just all kinds of stuff. And I'm just going to give you some of the categories that I list stuff in. A business expense. A business expense to me would be my website. That's a business expense. Business supplies are going to be like my catalogs and things I buy from the family store, or if I buy tool for packaging or whatever, that's a supply. So I have a business expense, business supply, gifts, anything that you give anybody, Scentsy, if you give anybody Scentsy at all, it's a gift, and you get to count that. Any training that I have to pay for, like World Tour, or I know I'm doing a Velada training, and I'm also, I went to leadership, I go to family reunion. All that is an expense that is a training expense, a company expense that I wouldn't be doing if I wasn't in it. I get to count those. Let's see, tolls. Count those tolls. I have a bunch of food. Anytime you go to a meeting, or if you're traveling to a meeting, or like I said, a launch party that you have to buy food for, that's an expense of food. And I have a food category. So just like gifts, food, business supplies, business expense, tolls, postage. Use a lot of postage. So you get to count those. That's a category that you could put that under business expense or business supplies too. But anyway, here's how I put the categories across for my business expenses. I put the date. I put the item. What was it? Was it my Velada website? Was it for a training? And then I put the location. Location meaning, okay, if I bought charms, where did I buy those from? And then I would put the place that I bought them. Then I put the cost, which is the subtotal. Then I put tax. Then if there's shipping, I put shipping. And then I have a total column. And the total column is the real top column of your cost, your tax, and your shipping together. Then there's the category. Is the category business expense, food, travel, whatever. Now, I don't count gas because I count mileage. There's 2 ways you can do a car expense. You can not count mileage at all and do just a car expense. I think you take off so much. I've never done it, so I really can't tell you, but you take off so much of your payment. You take off oil changes and your gas receipts and all that, and I don't. I just do a strict mileage. They pay me, for my mileage, and that's it. because I do drive my car other places, and it's just kind of hard for me to figure. Okay, the last column I have is called receipt. Now, in this column, I have, if it was a Scentsy order for my website, you know how they give you a order number? I'm going to put that order number in there. If it was a paper receipt, say I went to a restaurant and I saved the paper receipt, then I put on there, paper receipt. This way, if I ever got audited, I could say, okay, that was number blah, blah, blah on my workstation, pull that up and show them. If it was a receipt that was paper, I keep all my paper receipts per year in an envelope. I could just say, here, it's in this envelope. Or if it was just a lot of mine, like I have a couple of accounts that come out, I can't think of one right now, that come out, I have a Pixingo account, which is a card, mailing cards and stuff account. And that is just billed automatically as a subscription through my bank. So I might say Pixingo, it's on my bank receipt. So anyway, so the categories again for this is the date, the item, the location, the cost, which is subtotal, I guess you could put, the tax amount, the shipping amount, total cost, then the category, if it's a business expense, business supplies, food, tolls, postage, gifts, whatever it might be. And then your receipt column, which is like it's in my paper receipts, bank receipt. It's wherever. And so I do these once a month. And how I remember those is, like I said, I pull up my online banking. I see what went through, because no matter what, if it's Scentsy or whatever it is, it's going to go through my bank. Now, if you're like me and you've collected orders and they've paid you, you can't put down everything that you paid. You might have spent $158 in your bank to pay for an order, but that wasn't you, or that wasn't for you, or it wasn't for a gift. So you're going to have to actually go to your Scentsy website and look at all your orders individually for your Scentsy that you bought, or family store stuff. You can't go by bank receipts if it says Scentsy. You need to actually use your workstation on your orders. But anyway, that's a little complicated. I know taxes scare a lot of people. Actually, you need to be excited about it, because if you do it correctly and you keep good notes, and yeah, it's not fun, and yeah, but you own a business. You own a business, and the day you bought your starter kit was your very first expense. And it's fantastic. It can work for you. You can get money back. Van and I go on these to family reunion, and we make enough back on our taxes to actually pay for the next reunion. So it's like free vacations for Van and I every year now since we joined Scentsy. And it can be a blessing if you do it correctly. I'm here if you have any questions, but I am not a tax accountant. I will say that now. I am not liable for anything. You need to ask a professional person about it. But if you have just some general questions, feel free to ask. So for what your challenge is for this week, I want you to tell me what you do to keep track of your expenses and your mileage. Just snap a picture if it's a logbook, or if it's and if you haven't started, start one and snap a picture of it and say 2016 January, I'm starting fresh, and we're going to do it great for into 2016. So that's it, and good luck with your challenge. Bye-bye.